Hey, I'm Grant and welcome to the State of the Channel for April 23rd. So the only thing I really want to talk about this week is I think I solved the issue of importing all that Legacy of Kain footage into my editor. And this is something I don't know if I even talked about last week, but it has issues with the fact that the game changes resolutions all the time because it's actually like a bad port of a PS1 game, and it was back when like 3D graphics were new. So it can actually upscale all the actual gameplay, but every time it has to play a cutscene, there's FMVs like that are pre-rendered, and those are all still at the really crappy like VHS quality resolution. I don't even know what it is. It's some non-standard like resolution scheme, and OBS hated that. And I redid everything, and I think I found something that works. And I'm so excited because like I can't describe it. I know this is really behind the scenes, but I took like all 20 files and I dragged them into my editor and it worked. They all went. That never happens. I import them like 2 at a time because if it fails, it locks up, but it doesn't tell you it locks up. It's more like it starts a separate thread or a separate job in the background, and that just never finishes. So you're never sure if it's locked up or not. And this, I just saw it instantly complete. I'm like, oh, that's a big thing. I actually think it might hopefully have fixed the audio issue too. I don't know. I haven't actually exported anything, but I have hopes that it did. I have high hopes that it did. And I guess I'm also so excited because I knew like this was something I wanted to sit down, like I'm gonna learn about codecs finally. I'm gonna learn about containers, audio codecs, video storage, all this stuff that is vaguely like has to do with the things I work with that I don't touch. So that's what I sat down. Basically before I would always do MP4s and it's like HDAC or something. That X264. These are things I know. I still don't know what that is. But I was able to fix it by forcing the resolution to a set thing. I don't know if that matters. And then I think the main thing, well, then I also do 30 FPS constant frame rate. That's another big thing that I learned a while back that I had to do in Handbrake. And then I force it to be a MPEG-4, which is interesting because I've tried that format before, I think. Like I run it 2 conversion steps. I go one through Handbrake and then one through iframe converter. And the iframe puts it in MPEG-2. So originally I didn't think that was going to do anything, but I think there's some step there that was causing an issue that by going to MPEG-4 directly in Handbrake seems to fix. It lines up very well with my editor, and it's just like awesome. It's awesome. Still have a bunch of things I would like to learn. When I talk about like improving about editing, I don't even mean like style. I just mean little things like this, like anything I can do to make making content simpler. It's exciting. I spent a lot of time getting that, and it's a lot of just, okay, I'm going to try some settings, let it go, 20 minutes later it's done. Did it work? Nope. Okay, I guess just start a new test. And to find something, it just felt like, I think I said this before, like this was like my holy grail for a while, is just like finding something like this, because this affects everything I do. And now that if this truly is like the one format I want to stick with, I can start doing like crazier stuff. Like I really want to start doing like some automation. Like that's the big thing that I would like, is to set stuff up. And that's kind of like my coding project that I want to work on besides my website, is kind of this IDE system for video editing. It's exciting. Otherwise, I'm not much coming out this week. I believe podcast isn't this week, it's next week. I am toying with the idea still of moving that to a monthly podcast. I'd like it to be more like every 3 weeks, but that's weird. So I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think monthly is a lot better on my end, where I have enough time to get it in without affecting my other projects and without causing like burnout. Like there was a time like when I was doing it every week with those test podcasts, and that was cool, but man, was it like every day was down to the wire. And I feel like maybe relaxing a little bit more might be a little bit better for me. And then spending that extra time to step back and actually work on more of a format for the podcast, particularly once I get the website going. And the website's not going to be what I want it to be easily for like a year. Like I need to learn how to even do the Ruby on Rails stuff before I actually sit down and start working on the website. And yeah, it's gonna be a while. I'm gonna take 2 more days of PTO this week, so I'm hoping Friday and Monday I'll have some extra time to sit down and do this stuff. Particularly, I'd like to get Legacy Kain out and going, because I'm still trying to work out my own systems with where it fits in my life. I really want the Let's Plays to be something that come out every day, but they need to be something that's trivial to do. Like you'll notice if you ever see anything, I don't do a ton of editing. I don't do effects. I just basically, I give it like say 2 to 3 passes. Once when I play it, obviously, then the second time I will just basically load it up here and I will just listen to it. I'll just watch it while I do laundry, or I'll watch it while I don't know, mess around on some game or something. Something really simple where I can kind of process it, but I'm not gonna sit down and do some crazy cuts. I would like it. I would love to have that quality. Like I think about like Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop, how much editing went into that, just because that game's slow. So every time I load up a menu, there's like 15 frames I can chop out. And yeah, that improves it so much. But then every time I hit a menu and go to a different menu, that's a lot in that game. And it's just, I would just crawl through it. It would take forever. Same with the podcast, where I could say like every second of this podcast takes 10 seconds to edit. And it was just like, oh my God, you'd work for like an hour and you'd see like this one little smidge on the timeline of stuff you actually did. And just like, So I'm trying to get it down to where like I can just spend maybe 1 day a week, or maybe 2 days, or 1 week every 2 days, 2 weeks, one of those. Film a whole bunch, like on a Saturday, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna play this game for 8 hours and film it. That's it. And then the rest of the time I just spend kind of like churning stuff out. That's what I'd like to get to. So it's like not a big deal. Like, okay, not only do I can set aside time to play a game I want, I can get the footage, and then I have to spend like 1 more day or just like little bits of time in between where I just churn through and edit them. That's what I'd like. So I'm excited. I'm still waiting for like the one Let's Play to be like, this is the, maybe not a pinnacle, but like this is, you know, like a microcosm, like the idea of what I want it to be. And White Knight is kind of like that. I really liked how that came out, but it's still waiting. I'm still improving things. I probably always will be. But with Legacy of Kain, this would hopefully be the first time I was able to literally do everything in one go. And then if I can get that down, it will start becoming more and more trivial. That's the only way I can describe it, is I want it to be trivial. Like, oh yeah, you know what? I just made 8 hours of content today. You know, yeah, why not? It's easy. That's what I want it to be. Same with like, I went through this with streaming as well. Like I wanted to get to the point where if I want to stream something, I can just go. Like right now, if I wanted to, I could turn around, load up OBS, and I could be streaming in like 2 minutes. I don't have to do all this set up a green screen, all that. Still improvement. I would like to go back to streaming, and this is something I just need, I guess, feedback on. I would love to include streaming. I just don't know if I have time in my life right now for that. And I consider streaming to be kind of greedy compared to making YouTube like a video, because it's kind of like you get all your views right now and all your interactions right now. And you get better ones on the video, but the difference being on a YouTube video, like I can go back and look at stuff like the Taming the Tiger and Dead Rising 2. That wasn't a huge video when I put it out, but every month it's getting consistent views. It's helping someone. And over time, I think I value that more than actually just streaming. But I don't know yet what I would like to stream. Like I talked before, in a perfect world, I would love to just stream every time I play a game, like my own personal game. Like I just went through and played Fallout 4. I would love to get to the point where I could just do that, but I don't know how to do that. Like that can be difficult. So, and ultimately, usually I have some other project. Like it's hard to justify streaming when I know I have so much to work on my website. I have like a year's worth of work on my website. So I really should, every time I would stream, I'm like, I could do that, but that kind of just leaves me like right here. Like I'm like static, it doesn't really improve it doesn't move me towards my goal, but also it doesn't move me away because it's still something. Whereas stuff like the website or editing is a little more exponential. So like Legacy of Kain is a good example where I could have streamed that, but then I wouldn't have solved this huge like file format issue that now all of a sudden everything I make is better. So I don't know. The state of the channel the last few weeks have definitely turned into me more rambling and such. I don't know. I think right now I'm at a point in my life where I'm really trying to find a good consistent schedule and have everything line up to be the way I would like it. And I definitely see myself approaching that, and I see the things I need to do. It's just, it can be hard to do them sometimes. I would love to say I would just, every Saturday I wake up at 8 a.m. and I sprint my PC and I start editing. I wish I could say that, but I'm not on that level at all yet. So maybe one day. It's definitely a goal. I feel like I'm starting to get to a point on the channel where, in all this, where I have finally built up the skills and I'm starting to have ideas that I can actually execute on. Like something like this is the actual like reason I got into it kind of thing. Not just, I kind of want to go play Legacy of Kain. I'll do it for the channel. It'll be kind of fun. But rather a very calculated, deliberate, skillful move. Like I want to make a show like this. Or the website, that's what I want it to eventually be, is something that's not like, oh yeah, look at this thing I messed around and made in my free time. But rather, this is the public face of me. And something I would show off in like a job interview. Like, look at all these custom features. And did you know I do this and this? And I think that's kind of what I'm slowly building towards. And I'm just so giddy because like there's so many things I want to do, and I can see just the things I need to solve and do to get it. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So, but yeah, that's what I guess I'll work on this week. With that whole PTO stuff, I'm hoping to do another big chunk of the website. That's a big thing, as well as get all this Legacy of Kain stuff going, because once I start editing, it'll be a little bit easier. And I just need to get a good, consistent, habitual schedule, I think. But as always, you can contact me here in the comments or on Twitter. It's at taking4grandD, or on my email, it's grant@taking4grandD.com. And I'll be back again next week.